We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of songwriting, chat with some of the most exciting artists in the world and explore the stories behind their songs. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and thank you for joining us. Our episode today is a very special bonus episode recorded live at Harvest Rock Festival 2025 in Adelaide, South Australia. Our guest is the legendary UK songwriter and musician M.I.A, a Grammy, Academy and Mercury Prize-nominated artist who burst onto the music scene in 2005 with her groundbreaking debut, Arular. In the 20 years since, M.I.A has released 6 genre-defying records that blend politics, identity and personal truth in a way that is entirely her own. She's performed at the Super Bowl, she's collaborated across cultures and genres, and of course has released one of the most defining songs of the 21st century, the ubiquitous Paper Planes, a track hailed by Enemy, Pitchfork, Complex and many more as one of the best songs of the century. She's back in Australia for the first time since 2019, performing at Harvest Rock Festival and a handful of sideshows in Melbourne and Sydney. In today's episode, we were lucky enough to sit down with M.I.A backstage at Harvest Rock to discuss her impact and influence on music over the last 2 decades, the return of indie sleaze, playing to festival crowds versus headline shows, and how she first discovered her passion for songwriting. Now we want to say a massive thank you to Mon and Finn for their help with today's episode and remind everyone that tickets to M.I.A's remaining Australian shows are available via the links in today's show notes. While you are in the show notes, please make sure you subscribe to This Song Is Yours and go and follow us across Instagram and TikTok. We would love it if you did. It really does help us out and it ensures that you stay up to date with new episodes, guests and everything else that we've got going on. Now let's get into it. Here is our conversation live from Harvest Rock Festival with M.I.A. Every step I get, I'm clocking that game. Everyone's a winner, we're making our fame. Bonafide hustler, making my name. Thank you very much. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, M.I.A. Hello, how's it going?
Just waking up. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to spend.
Turning my brain on.
Yeah, it is early. You've joined us here in Adelaide for Harvest Rock Festival. I'll try and keep the songwriting stuff to a little bit later once we've woken up. Thank you very much. How are you feeling? I think first Australian show since 2019?
Yes. Shouting out to the parrots.
Yeah.
I think I can hear them. Yeah. 2019 has been 6 years.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I think I was speaking to some people earlier today in regards to the previous times you've come down and played festivals and shows in Australia, and the excitement around these shows is very palpable. I know there's a lot of people excited to see you here today. How are you feeling about these Australian shows?
It's kind of a long time coming, so I'm looking forward to them, you know. Been talking about it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. You've got a show at Harvest Rock Festival here today in Adelaide, and I believe some shows in Sydney and Melbourne across the next week. In terms of the festival set versus the venue set or the club set or the arena set, how does that differ? How do you kind of approach playing those different stages?
I feel like the festival set is a mixed crowd. You know, some people are your fans and some are just new and some are there and not heard of you before or whatever, so you have to be kind of kind. But on my club shows it's gonna be my fans, you know, so you have to give them like something much more about where you're at right now. So it's not really about doing something familiar but doing something that is proving why you're like there, you know, and I think it's much more about taking them with you on a journey.
I kind of love that though. I think having a look at your discography in preparation for today, there's obviously quite a few albums over the last 20 years, which is really exciting. And I imagine that, as you said, like at a festival, you see different people of different walks of life, different ages. Can you kind of gauge, or can you see certain people when you do play these festival sets that, I guess, can you see what era of M.I.A they've kind of joined you on? Like whether they're from the start or from somewhere midway through?
You mean right now in Australia?
Oh, just in general, but
Can I tell where my fans have joined me? Oh, that's an interesting question. The sun's coming out. Where have my fans joined me? Can you tell? Well, definitely. I think with the growth of like AI and bots and things like that, you can see which ones are influenced by the digital era and like that machine, and you can tell the day ones. You know, the day ones know who you are and what you're about and know your lyrics, and they have a reason to why they liked you. And then you have, you know, people that are easily manipulated by trends, you know, and they're like the newer ones. They're maybe interested in you because you were in a very popular magazine, or you were in, you know, appeared in a popular whatever. But yeah,
I think that the scope of fans, however, obviously do appreciate what you do. I think not simply just because we're talking today, but you have always been an innovator of sound, someone who seems slightly ahead of the curve sonically. And I think that's why a lot of people, regardless of age or background or wherever their walk of life, that's why they kind of are attracted to you and your music. I know that there's been a lot of talk in the last year about the music of like the 2000s and things like indie sleaze and things like that. I'm curious to get your take as things are coming back around. Do you find yourself seeing any elements of your own music kind of reflected in new music that's coming back around?
I see my new music being reflected in the new music that's coming. Like, I haven't put my new music out, but even my releases on Omni, which everyone regards as, oh, she's making this music in a very lost kind of phase. But, you know, as a spiritual journey, I'm going on what is true to me. And I released this song called Armour in January. And then there was another release called Safe on omni.com, omnimusic.com. And already you have female artists like Rosalia or Lily Allen who are releasing music this week based on the whole, like, you know, Mary Catholicism or nun. They're dressed as nuns and things like that. And whether they're questioning that or putting it into the mainstream, or they're going against it, whichever one it is, the fact that they're even touching on those subject matters when initially their previous album or their previous journey in music is not necessarily a spiritual one, I think is the influence. Whether you're putting music out in the mainstream and you're making something like having a huge impact in the outside world, what you're into still impacts all the artists around you, you know. And I think it still drives the influence of what they create and put out. So even though my album won't come out before theirs because they're releasing this week, it's the same, you know, that they're able to switch it up and see it as some sort of, I don't know, zeitgeist or something. So, yeah, I think it still influences people, yeah. Yeah,
100%. I know you mentioned the new music that was put out this year, Armour and Safe. It obviously might be a bit of an obvious question, but I have had people kind of like asking me, and then with the Harvest Rock thing, curious as to whether we're going to continue to get new music from you in the coming time. We don't have to, you know, give away any kind of special detail, but yeah, curious whether there's new music.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I'm actually working with some Australians, so they've been assigned to the job of forcing me to make new music, and yeah, so I think that's going to happen for sure.
That's very exciting. There is a history of you working with Australian artists. I think it is Will Kanya Mob who's on Downriver. For you, how do you kind of come across these new artists or like different artists to collaborate with, and what makes you pick certain collaborators to work with?
I think recently it's been people who are not been afraid, you know, because I think a lot of people get scared by the noise of the internet. And they're like, oh my god, is she at this, is she at that, should I be doing this with her, like I don't even know. There's a lot of that, and I think people who can see beyond that, who are open-minded or who are led by some other thing, that know truth, then if they have the ability to work with you, then they work with me, because it's that simple. I judge it on who has the ability to, I guess, be at the right time at the right place and just flow with whatever that happens, and that's, they either have it or they don't.
We are a songwriting podcast primarily, as you might have hinted at the start. Curious whether you're able to share with us how you, I guess, became a songwriter. What was your first interaction with songwriting or trying to write songs and music?
My friend, who was a singer in the band called Elastica, she had a writer's block, and she also had like some health issues, and I was taking care of her, and I really wanted to encourage her to get back to music, and I just did a Rick Rubin podcast where I talk about that, where we went to church and I couldn't clap in time, and so that day, people in church were like, what's wrong with you, like, we know you have rhythm, but we've seen you dancing, and you are really out of time and you're putting everyone off in the church. And that day I went home and I decided to figure out how to write a beat on the 505. And while Justine was out, I wrote my first lyric, and that was the M.I.A. song, which is on the back of Glang. So it's the hidden track. So it's like you can watch TV, watch the media, President Bush doing takeover, and it was those are the first lyrics which already came out the gate being political. And then Justine came home and she listened to it and she was like, it's not really Elastica, but you can write songs, you should be a songwriter. And then she made me stay there for 10 days and write lyrics, and that's how Glang was written and all these other songs were written.
I think that's kind of nice, though, that obviously there was no big pressure to it. It was more like it happened quite organically by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I was inspired to write lyrics for her, write songs. And she wrote, so I made a music video for a song called Mad Dog on the Menace album, which was Elastica's second album. And the song I did the video for, the first few lyrics in Mad Dog was like, I think it starts off with like, I need a salad bowl to make my charging clear. And we were all like, did you really say salad bowl? Like, and it was always a joke that at that point Justine was like, I think I said salad bowl, but I can't really remember what I said, but the syllable just sound good. And we left it on there and we didn't really correct it. And so the only thing I knew about lyric writing was that she didn't take it like, it was about what sounded good as well. It's not that she didn't take it seriously, but we always laughed about that sentence and we would tease her about it. And so I never really thought about songwriting myself or beyond that. But so that's why I wasn't so intimidated when it came to writing M.I.A, is that I was like, okay, my starting position is she wrote, I need a salad bowl, And I was like, I can write anything. And Peaches had written like, put the pain away and repeated it 5,000 times. So I was like, okay, somewhere in between the salad bowl and fuck the pain away is my song, But what came out was M.I.A, which was a lot more serious. And then so everyone sort of was like, okay, this is its own thing. Like it can't be influenced by other people's ideas or influence on lyric writing, because it was just so like, it came out the gate being what it is. And then so everyone was like, you got to write, and that's like what happened.
I love that, though. I think that it is something that the M.I.A. project does extremely well is have that satisfying sounding prose and lyrics, but obviously ones that aren't, not necessarily, as you said, they're political, they are serious, but that aren't, they're in line with peaches or they're in line with salad bowl in terms of that you can kind of, they're malleable in a way.
Yes.
I wanted to very quickly touch on the fact that I believe it is 20 years since Arular, the debut album, and obviously the success of that, because I think that was the breakthrough. That's what kind of people got to know you from, and then from there built an incredible career. Is there any, what are the feelings now looking back on? Is it a weird thing to raise that it is 20 years since that album? Does it feel like 20 years, I guess?
I don't know. I want it to be considered timeless, you know, and I think my songs that were like purely coming out of a true place, it is timeless, you know. And sometimes they reveal themselves as time goes on to be more important or less, you know, or sonically more important. Like I had no idea that the concept of hyperpop would take off from, you know, the M.I.A. album, but then that's become a thing, and, you know, the sounds on Arular or Kala is still around. You know, they're still like become a genre or something. And I think it's like, it's the momentum, like it's a seed that started a lot of trees. And I think 20 years is a small time in that, a tree's lifetime.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
It is, as I said earlier, a sound and a sonic kind of universe that you built that is, I feel like, singular to you and your project. It's something that, even if it's from one album or the fifth album, that it is kind of, you can tell it's M.I.A. It is timeless music. So, look, very excited to catch you at Harvest Rock Festival later today. M.I.A., thank you very much for chatting with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.